Well, welcome everybody to Recovery Live, our regular Friday video cast where we discuss all things addiction. I'm Tom, I'm a recovered alcoholic. 9 a.m. in the morning here where I am today. I'm in San Jose, California, broadcasting remotely. For those of you that are joining us from the East Coast, it's 12 noon and 5 p.m. in the UK. Again, want to welcome everybody to the show today. We got a great conversation. I think it's one that is controversial and interesting and opinionated, and it has a lot of great things. And let's see what everybody thinks about it. Sean's on vacation this week, so my co-host today is going to be Alicea. We are in the same time zone, at least for this show. So I'd like to bring Alicea on.
Hello.
Alicia's in Meadow Vista, right? You guys
Yes.
don't know where that is, but I do now. I know where Meadow Vista is.
It's right outside of Auburn. Most people know where Auburn is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Let's see who's joined us already. Alicea Peebles is with us. She always comes early. Carrie Toon, she's new. I don't know where you're from. And there's Doc. How are you, buddy? Doc, coming to you from fabulous Las Vegas. He says Dale Barker's on, and he makes that's right, Dale. There's a really great
baseball's back, baby.
Baseball's back. So everybody in the audience, repeat after me, right?
Uh-oh.
Let's go Yankees.
Dale's going to comment right now.
I think that we give a t-shirt away, Lisa, to the first person who puts in the comments, let's go Yankees. No,
Oh!
Let's go Yankees. We'll do it. Sherry Doer. So I'm out here in California, guys, doing some doing some promotion for retreats coming up and spreading this message. And Alicea and I were together Tuesday, and then we went up to Oroville, where it's a big draw, Oroville, California, for the retreat in Nevada City. And we spoke at a meeting called Serenity, or I did, and we got a bunch of registrations for retreat. So we're really whipping everybody up, and we're promoting the idea of our retreat coming up in May. And it was really successful, right? We had 10 people sign up right at the meeting, right, Alicea?
Yeah. Yeah, and we still have over 2 months for signups.
So, getting this out there, that there is this retreat, this 3-day experience that we've been conducting all over the world and all over the country over all these years to as many people as we can, is what I'm doing now out here. And Alicia's helping me do it, and she's doing it in the local area, and others are all around the country, so that we can not hear the thing we always hear, which is, why didn't anybody tell me this? Right?
Yeah.
So one of the most important things that happened while I was here, very important, and it's on film, guys, so we can show it to you later, is I did more pull-ups than Alicea.
Yes, you did. But I didn't say that I was going to do more than you. I never claimed that at all, for the record.
There's always an excuse, when you can't. But her husband did a great. It was a great
commentary film
on it, and so it was really good.
It was on Instagram. It was awesome.
So we're not a glum lot, guys, and all in the sense that this is the things we do now in recovery. We get up in the morning, we do things like work out, and you have to drink coffee, and stuff like that. So that's really great. So we're out here in California promoting that retreat tonight. I'm going to go to a place in Foster City, California, and speak to a group about our Redwood Glen retreat, which is in Loma Mar, California. So those are the 2 retreats here in California coming up in May. One is Mother's Day weekend. That's in Loma Mar at Redwood Glen, which you can find on our website, cametobelieverecovery.org, and go under in-person retreats. And Lisa's put up the link there for you to see. And 2 weeks later, we're going to be in Nevada City, which is close to where Alicea is, outside Auburn. It's a beautiful place up in the Sierras, foothills of the Sierras, I guess, for another weekend retreat here in California. And in between that, we're going to be in Leesburg, Florida. So all of you guys on the East Coast, if you want to come experience the retreat down there in Leesburg, that's registration is open for that one too right now. So 3 opportunities in the month of May for you guys around the country to come and hear the message that we've been spreading for all these years, the 3 days to freedom that we got from Clarence Snyder, passed down through Steve Foreman to us. You know, Alicea, I was thinking about that. Sean was saying that when we were up in Amory, you know, that we start to think about how close we are to the founders. You know, it was Dr. Bob, Clarence, Steve, and us. It was John Zammuk, which went Clarence, Steve, John Zammuk. We're like 4 steps away from, you know, the original program from the founders. And it's quite, you know, awesome to know that we had got this message really right from those guys that did it. And you're the next level.
Yes. Carry it on. Legacy.
Yeah. Tom Clancy, let's go White Sox. This is such a problem, right? Lisa, Jim would like that. Let's go White Sox. And of course, she's going to put that up. We just feel sorry for White Sox fans. I mean, really, worse than Red Sox fans. And who else? Pirates. Like Sherry Jor said, let's go Yankees. Lisa, let's send her a shirt. Get it right. Sherry, put your address in the thing and we'll send you a shirt. You know, I'm going to get accused of all sorts of bias stuff, but.
Yes, you are.
Well, there's.
Oh, and then she said Pirates.
Oh, wait. Well,
take her shirt back.
They're National League, so they're not a direct competition to us, so that's okay. But Red Sox, yeah, forget it. Some of us late and take a nap. What's that? Sleep late and take a. Who's that? Dale Barker. Well, we just want to welcome everybody today and into the conversation. So today we're going to be talking about addiction being, is it a medical condition, a disease, or is it a choice? Is it somehow a lifestyle choice? Do we have some control over this? Do addicts truly have control? And can they stop? At some point, is it truly a choice, a lifestyle choice? And many think so. A lot of opinions on this, a lot of things written about it being a choice versus being a medical condition and a disease. And so we want to talk a lot about that today. If you guys have any opinions or have any issues or have any things, we'd love to hear your comments. So go ahead and put them up in our comment section. And we'll try to air the questions as best we can, because we all are talking about this before the broadcast. And Lisa was on with us. And Lisa's going to come on in a minute as our resident normie to have her eyes just, which I can see her in the studio behind the scenes to talk with us too about this. But we've been talking about it, and I've been talking about it all morning here where I am with some of the recovery leaders that are here where I'm staying about this whole disease choice conversation. And we're not sure we have the total answer, except that I know I didn't, at some point in my drinking, and it was early on, I know I had no choice. And that when the phenomenon of craving hit with me, which was after the first sip, there was no choice in the matter. And then that fueled this thing forever. I could not drink. For me, there's no choice in it. I needed the spiritual solution. I needed the solution that the steps offered as the founders had found it, this way of living that allowed me to break free of this thing that had me and probably would always have me. So we talk recovered, but not cured. I can't ever drink again, but I have no desire or no temptation. I don't feel like I want to do it. So it's a recovered state, which we know that we can be in, as were our founders. So choice versus disease. What do you think, Alicea?
I flip-flop, but I do see that like it's a choice that we picked up, the drink or the drug or the exercise or the food, and then something happens, right, with our brain chemistry and thinking and mentally and emotionally, behavioral habits are formed, our grooves in our brain are formed, and then we did make a choice to stop. So that's where my confusion comes in. But it's that middle ground, like what happened in there And how come we chose to stop when we did? And was it a rock bottom? Because I'm sure many people don't hit rock bottom and they decide to stop. So there's just so many rabbit holes that we could discuss.
Mm.
And I would love to have comments from the peanut gallery to see or ask questions, and then we can kind of try to answer the questions and go back and forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The
I think maybe it's both and. Can it be both and?
well, so I'm going to take the side that no, it can't.
Okay.
You're either a heavy drinker or a heavy user, or you're a true alcoholic. The big book talks about the real alcoholic, the true person, which I am definitely that. And this choice, we'll talk a minute about that choice to stop. It wasn't, my choice wasn't, I'm going to stop, and I stop. I think there's a subtlety to this choice. I came to a realization, I came to this place where I couldn't do anything anymore, and I'm going to do something about it. I have to go seek somebody. But the choice didn't cure me. The choice made me open to a cure that I went to. You know what I mean? Like the heavy drinker can say, this, I have a certain consequence. The doctor told me I'm going to die if I keep drinking. All right, I'm going to make a choice. I'm not going to drink anymore today. And they
And
walk
then
away.
it's gone.
And
Yeah.
and
With
then
us, it's like always here
right.
in the
So
beginning.
my choice is I can't do this anymore, but I can't stop. But I am done. I need to find a way out. And so there's my choice. I'm going to go try to find a way out. And here's these people that are happy, joyous, and free, huggers, and they annoy me to death, but they have a freedom. I'm going to go see what they did.
Yeah.
And they walk me through a process that allowed me to come to freedom. So that's where that choice in the end. And then the choice at the beginning, I guess even the big book says, it says here, like, what of the real alcoholic? This is from page 20 and 22 of the big book, guys. And I'm reading out of the legacy guide, but it's 20 and 22 out of the big book of Alcoholism. It says, but what of the real alcoholic? He may start off as a moderate drinker. He may or may not become a continuous hard drinker, but at some stage of his career, he begins to lose all controls of liquor consumption once he starts. Here's a fellow who's been puzzling you, especially in his lack of control. He does absurd, incredibly tragic things. And that's what I think there was a point when I started, had I said to myself, and I had the wherewithal, and somebody had said to me, dude, you got all the signs of an addict. This thing is in you. You drink differently than everyone else, even at the beginning. You need to stop, or this is where you could head. I maybe could have made a choice at that point to say, yeah, I don't even want to start this thing.
You think?
I maybe could have. But then I could never drink. Like, it's not like I could start and not drink.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I could then control it. I just would say I couldn't drink. And I have a friend who has a son whose father was a raging alcoholic. And he knew this son that it was the thing might be in him. He was scared to death of it from his father that he didn't want to test it. So he doesn't drink. So there's a choice, right? He's saying, I don't want to see if this thing kicks off in me. So he's going to maybe dodge the bullet his whole life of this. Now, will it show up somewhere else? Because this phenomenon of creating this addictive behavior, this thing that we have, we know shows up other ways. It's not just alcohol, it's other things. So I don't know. So yes, choice in that regard, Alicia, both and. I mean, I think there's a choice element at some point, but once it got a hold of me, I mean, I had no choice. I wouldn't have a choice today. If I drank a drink today, I would want 20. It would never be one, and then I'd be at the Coke dealer.
Yes. And then, okay, so then this can't, because my addiction was alcohol, and then it was eating disorders and over exercise. And now I exercise. So that's a different thing, I know, because it's not like chemical dependency. But even with that gets a little tricky, like Right? I mean, how does that work?
Well, it's totally tricky, and I say I'm glad that don't have the eating disorder because you have to eat,
I have to eat food.
right? So
Yes.
with alcohol, you don't have to drink alcohol, right? You don't have to
Mhm.
smoke pot or do this and live without it. So you can abstinence is a big. I don't have to manage it. If somebody said you have to manage your alcoholism because you have to have alcohol to live, it'd be a whole different story. So my
Yeah.
hat off to those with eating disorders that have to really have to moderate. They have to learn how to control the phenomenon of craving
Yeah.
while having continuing to indulge in the substance that kicks it off in them. Now,
Right.
you can talk a little bit more about this than I can. The whole phenomenon of craving has been debated, and we had someone at a retreat in the UK, and if Dee comes on, she may chime in on this, who really pushed back against us that the phenomenon of craving applied to overeating, and said that made a case that it didn't. I don't know. What would you say? When was there this thing where you started
Well, it
eating?
was on my head 24/7, so I think that would be craving. And sugar is known to be an addictive substance, so there's that. It changes our brain just like cocaine. So I would say yes.
Right. And
Yeah,
well, alcohol is sugar, and
sugar. Yeah.
it's fermented sugar, really. So,
Well, I think it's like gambling or, things that are outside of ingesting something, and
mhm.
they said that's an addiction.
So this dopamine rush. Let's go to that. Talk about.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring Lisa on in a minute to to to, to see what she thinks about all this as a normie. Um, and this thing that we're reading about, these articles that Lisa found for us about a dopamine rush, and talking about how it's different in the addict, that we have a reaction to which is that pleasure center thing. So in gambling stimulates this pleasure center, and it's another thing which causes a dopamine rush, and we love it. It
Mhm,
rushes our pleasure, and it stops the ability to control this behavior, and then you're chasing it. So
mhm.
but there you go. That would that would help the medical side of it, to say there's a difference in my body physiologically. It I My dopamine release is different than other people when it's stimulated in certain ways, and I'm not like everybody else. And someone that doesn't have that ability never feels that same dopamine rush the way we do, no matter what they do. The allergy, the phenomenon of cravings, that to me would fuel the disease element of it. But anyway, why don't we do this? Why don't we bring Lisa on? Why don't you come on, Lisa, and let's see what she thinks about it. Lisa's coming to us from, hey, Lisa. And guys, this is a rare sighting. Lisa's not on very often.
True.
We
It's
got her
true.
on.
Sean will be very upset because he'll be like, you got Lisa to come on. And Casera's off this week, if you guys are wondering. So Casera and Sean are off having fun, and we're here carrying the torch and going on. Um, so Lisa, you've been listening. Lisa has worked for us now for, well, really been involved a couple years, right?
Yeah.
And has known me a long time, and so has had exposure and had exposure to addicts and addictions in her own family and around in her life, and is a master's degree in counseling. So
Counseling. Yeah.
highly educated, all this good stuff. And so, what do you think about all this after hearing, reading?
Yeah, I think when I was really exposed to addictions in my life, I was young, I was in high school and it was hitting my friends and family. And, I don't know that I ever stopped to think about it. But the whole experience is kind of what drew me to psychology. So like I was trying to find meaning and understanding and make sense of it because I lost two of my best friends. Luckily they pulled themselves out, but at a really vulnerable time, my two best girlfriends were addicted to heroin and it killed me. And somehow I didn't fall into it, and thank goodness they protected me. And like when they would fall in, they separated themselves from me, but it still impacted me so greatly that I kind of went searching for answers. So going into the psychology realm, I think I was always introduced to this medical disease model. It's
Mm,
been categorized in the DSM for years now as a substance abuse disorder. So in regards to treatment, you have that on the mental health side. And then from the medical side, you know, there's medical consequences to starting a substance and removing a substance from yourself. So yes, I don't take away the fact that there is a choice, but if you don't understand like the genetic predisposition to something, and you pick up a drink or you know, do a line of coke, you don't know that you might be that person that is genetically predisposed. And so you think you can do it one time, you can pick up a beer. I mean, as you guys like to call me, I'm a normie. I can have a glass of wine, and if I don't want the rest of it, I dump it. Like, I don't have that. Now, on the flip side, you give me a bag of Oreo cookies and I will probably demolish the whole thing. So, you know, there's a chemical dependency on that sugar that you guys were talking about. So yeah, I definitely fall into the line of the medical, but I do understand that there's a choice to start and a choice to stop. And sometimes that choice to stop, you know, is a hard one to take because of that phenomenon of craving that you guys are talking about.
Right. And normie, you know, we mean normie with Lisa as far as addiction goes, because, you know, the jury's still out on anyone else that she's involved with that. Dale Parker says,
nobody's normal.
So sick, still sick. You know, our friend Rashid used to say, real sick. We all have this little thing to us. I think Alicia's husband kind of looked at us cross-eyed because we're
He's normie.
He's a normie. We call him a normie. We're a little bit crazy. And I think Rick's wife with the house I'm staying to, she's a normie too. And we were talking this morning about this whole thing. And I said, when you drink, and I'm going to ask you, Lisa, you said this, but I'm going to ask again. I said, when you drink a glass of wine, do you have to have more? Does it kick off this thing that you have to? And she said, no, it doesn't do that to me. I said, see, that's the thing. It'll never do it for you. So
Right.
Could you drink a lot, but you never get to that place. So that's where this whole no choice comes in.
Right. Right. I mean, I was telling Alicia earlier, I was a smoker for over 20 years.
Yeah, we loved that point in your life.
Yeah. I mean, when Tom and I were working together, I just got hounded to stop smoking, but I understand that. Like, it was a choice that I started, and I knew that I was probably predisposed to be addicted because both my parents were, but I was stupid. I think I started smoking when I was 11 years old. Like, I was so young and so stupid. I didn't understand. And to stop until there was something outside of me that I needed to stop for, I didn't have the capacity to do it. I just couldn't do it.
So that's an interesting thing. This whole idea of dependency versus addiction. So you were nicotine dependent. Your body craved it. You had to have it, but it wasn't the same as the phenomenon of craving. There's a subtle difference to it, because I smoke cigarettes too. So, I mean, there are many people, and Dale Marsh was saying this morning, he's on some medications that he's dependent upon, but they don't ruin his life, and he's not abusing them. He's taking them as instructed. But if he went off them, he would cause him seizures. Like, he can't go off them. Same thing with smoking. I think you get to where you're on it, and it would. And here's the difference. I think smoking, does it to everybody. If you start smoking, if you can start smoking, you'll get dependent on it.
I don't know that that's true though. My sister would socially smoke. There's people that can pick up a cigarette and socially smoke and smoke for a week and quit. Like,
I did that.
Yeah.
I smoked because it kept me from eating. And then
that's one of the reasons why I couldn't quit.
Yeah.
As soon as I did, I filled my mouth with food.
Yeah. And I didn't like it. And then I tried cloves in the 80s, and then I didn't like that. So I didn't get hooked. But I mean, I had plenty of other addictions to choose from.
Yeah.
And I kicked smoking when I quit drinking, because drinking and smoking go together.
Oh, yeah.
And I just needed that 2 weeks to get off it. I didn't need the program for that. I quit drinking and said, okay, good. Now I can stop smoking because I could suffer the 2 weeks. And I broke that habit and never smoked again. I've never smoked again. So, and I don't see, but in order to get over the drinking, I needed the program. I needed a system. I needed a life. I needed a way of living. I needed to do some things. But smoking, I just had to break the habit.
I wonder if it's that altered state of mind then, because nicotine doesn't necessarily alter your state of mind. There is some chemical release and some reaction, but you're not escaping. You're not altering how you think and feel.
There's a line of people with ADD too that I have that are much more disposed to it, because the way my brain functions and the way it reacts to chemical stimuluses, would alcohol and drugs do it? I mean, cocaine was wonderful because it massaged my frontal lobe and it calmed me really. And I sought that normal. Believe it or not, it made me feel more normal than enough. And then it went off the deep end because, if Coke's good, add some alcohol, add some pot, and maybe some pills. Wake up the next day, repeat. So that was pills, pot, repeat, Alicia, instead of read.
I am not making that t-shirt. No way.
And just so you guys know, we did it at Alicia's house. We read, we prayed, and we lifted.
While wearing the t-shirt?
Well, she didn't wear the t-shirt.
I did buy a hoodie yesterday.
I saw that. I saw.
Yeah. So we should have done that, but we did. We walked the talk. We did that over her house, and I did more pull-ups than her. If you guys are just joining us on the show,
yes, you did.
Is boasting or what is that? Is that one of the on the inventory? Yeah.
It's rigorous honesty under.
Oh.
It's not boasting, it's rigorous honesty.
Yeah.
And it's truth. You did. That's okay.
I did, right. Let's see. Dale Barker says, that's interesting. If she drank enough, long enough, you can turn into an alcoholic. I don't know. Dale, that's actually true. I don't know. I'm not saying no.
Scary things about what I did for several years.
A lot of evidence which there'd be a lot against you, but that's a interesting comment. There are those that say that. I mean, we run in when I'm out right now, because half of what I do is promote our retreats, and the other half I do is promote the idea that we need to spread our word larger, and we're looking for supporters. And we go in, and it says, we have a lot of people say, well, we're not going to support you because it's a lifestyle choice. There isn't a disease element to it, and then you're just losers who've got to get your lives together and all. Well, then what about the smoker? What about the person with diabetes? What about the person with heart disease that brought it in? Are they just losers too? But you don't deny them. There's foundations for heart disease, and the diabetes diseases and all of this are significant. So I don't know about that, but.
Well, wait a minute. Back to what Dale just said. Did he say if Lisa kept drinking, she would have become? What about all our friends in high school and college that stopped, and I didn't stop? And many of them were like, okay, it's time to be a grown-up now. Right? And they stopped, even though we were partying hard through all of that. And then they were like, okay, I'm done with that.
That was me. And even if I look at like my group of friends, you can see we kind of at some point turned off. There's still a group that, 15, 20 years later, they're still going. And, if I have a glass of wine a month, that's a lot for me. I don't. So it's an interesting concept. I don't think we can ethically do an experiment to say, okay, you need to both drink for a couple of months.
Let's do an experiment.
We can only go anecdotally. But it's an interesting concept, because I think, Dale, to that, it kind of goes to that rewiring, and maybe there is something to it, that the rewiring happens, dopamine release, neurotransmitters are, released, that causes that over an extended period of time. And, again, without being able to do a controlled experiment, it's tough to say.
Yeah, but let's just I'll push back on you, Mr. Barker, a little bit here.
Oh, that's a surprise.
That's a surprise. Well, I mean, Red Sox fans are notoriously wrong about everything, but I see where he's taken to it. But as I do a lot when I speak, I say, let's look at it through this lens here. So let's read this, what it says. It says, We believe, and so suggest a few years, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy. Right? This is the disease part that they're talking about. That the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. Now, there you're going to say, okay, well, what about the heavy drinker? Can they turn into one? Listen, it says this. These allergic types, which is the ones predisposed to it, can never safely use alcohol in any form. And once having formed the habit and found they cannot break it, having lost their self-confidence, their reliance upon human things, their problems pile up on them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. That is still under the category of the allergic type. So they're saying it takes some time for it to ruin your life, maybe. But the allergic type will always have the phenomenon of craving, which will never kick off in you, Lisa. And that's the point they're making. And I think that I would, because I've never seen anybody that I knew that didn't have the phenomenon of craving, the real phenomenon of craving, this real allergic, that then developed it. You turn it on or you massage it, but I drank, the first time I drank, the phenomenon of craving kicked in for me, the very first drink. And this is that thing, like you were saying, Lisa, I had no idea.
Right.
My parents weren't alcoholics. My brothers and sisters that were older than me, I didn't really know anything about it.
Sure.
I just wanted to party. My motivation was different, but I was 15 years old and I had a drink and that was it. I was off to the races. First drink, it warmed me and flipped some switch inside me and I was down the road. And it took a long time then to ruin my life.
Right.
And like we said before, had I noticed that and someone said, "Oh my God, Tom, you are drinking like this is a bad sign. You need to stop." Maybe I could have stopped the choice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd love for someone to come on and say that they felt like they never had the phenomenon of craving and then they developed it. The true phenomenon of craving. I'd love if someone has had that experience, we would love to hear, but we're all about hearing all sides here. This is a debate that's going on across the medical field, the spiritual school, the religious world for sure. Mm-hmm. And the secular, all of us, all of the things. I mean, Sarah has very strong opinions about all this and would lean toward the choice side, I think, or that the choice has a big element in this at every stage. And I would say, from my experience, I didn't have a choice after like the first night.
Was there something, Tom, that made you make the choice to make a change? Like at that moment when you're like, I got to change. I can't do this. What was that choice then? Like what pushed you?
Well, I was going to die, probably. I mean, I had nothing. I was as low as I low. The next step literally was death, certainly on the street. I mean, I had lost everything and I hit, like they say, I was at the crossroads and I can't do anything about it. And what I admitted was that I'm out of control, that I'm alcoholic and my life's out of control. That was not really, it was a realization. I don't know if that's a choice.
Right.
I finally said, yeah, I can't stop this, but if I don't, I'm going to die. And then I made that phone call to someone.
It's an interesting point, what you just said, by saying the realization that you were an addict. And if you follow the medical ideology of that, you're like, all right, I need help then. So if you're, have heart disease and you're like, oh, I realize I have heart disease. You're gonna be like, well, I'm going to sit home and I'm going to do this on my own. I can figure it out. You're like, no, I'm going to go get help. So in that same idea, you said, I need help. Like I need help at this point. Like I have this, I'm an addict. I need help. So it kind of promotes that idea of you're not able to do it on your own.
Well, I love that thought. I think I totally agree, Lisa. I mean, same with the diabetic who's now got all these symptoms and they're like, oh my God, this thing has got me and it's going to kill me. And I don't know how to stop it. I put myself somewhere. I need to go get help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I had diabetes with both of my pregnancies and there was this, this ominous thing of I might need to get injections of insulin if I don't do it. So I needed help to learn how to eat right, how to exercise properly, all while being pregnant and making sure I get the nutrition I need and my kid gets the nutrition they need. And I couldn't do that on my own. I had to go to a dietitian. I had to go to a diabetes specialist, and I was monitored, and I was able, knock on wood, to get through it without needing insulin, all through diet and exercise. But I would not have been able to do that on my own. I needed the help. I needed coaching. I needed knowledge, and tools to do that. I mean, one of my biggest tools was my glucose meter, and it told me if I did something wrong pretty quickly.
Right.
So, it's having that tool bag of things to use to help you through it. And it's different for every disease, but they all need them.
Right. You see what Taryn said, and this is something that I would totally understand, right? The drink takes a drink, the drink takes a drink, the drink takes the drunk. Like, I get that, because I took a drink and then my drink took a drink. I took, thanks, Taryn. That's kind of it would be I don't know if you relate to that, Alicea, but I totally relate to that. Let's see what Sherry says, right? First drink got the ball rolling. So she was like me, the very first drink. But many years later, after spiritual bankruptcy turned over to my high power, I had the psychic change. So that's very much like happened to me. It worked for a while. It actually never worked. All right, Dale's pushing back again, so this is great.
Good. We
should bring Dale on.
The drink may be consistent. It may have you raw certain associate. Perhaps he spends much money. We'll show this. Yeah, but he's still down above. That's still Dale under the category of the person with the allergic type. It's still in the category of the allergic type. So he's wrong again. I love it when he can't actually answer for himself. He's shaking his head.
I'm gonna send Dale a link.
He wants to stop.
It's later on in the same part that I was reading, but it's still under the heading of that part of it. So we'll see.
He's saying it's to wives.
Yeah. Oh, it's to wives. Well, I still think he's describing the progression of how it ruins your life. Then it is. I just lost my screen.
Of those who keep on it.
The allergic types, of those allergic types that keep on. Okay, Dale, still the same thing. The types that have it in them, they become true alcoholics. Because I guess that the case is that even if you have the allergy, is there a point where you could have stopped? Like I told you, maybe I could have had someone told me at the beginning.
But you did stop, right? So that's where the
with help,
my brain explodes, because we did stop.
Yeah, but I didn't do it of my own will. I realized I had a problem and I needed help. That was the choice, was to get help. The choice wasn't an overt choice to stop. Do you get that? There's a difference. I could not have stopped and just given up alcohol and gone on with my life. So that choice I would have maybe had at the beginning. I'm just not going to do this anymore. And because nothing had taken hold. But at the point where I was in, I never would have been able to do it without the help. Without finding what the character defects, doing everything's clearing up the spiritual malady and getting myself straight.
Then people would need to take or be open to the possibility of taking step one and then come to a retreat, and then they would be making choices to grow and transform. Because I'm thinking of when I teach 6 and 7, I'm throwing out tools and saying discipline, and if it's not a choice, then my talk is no.
Well, Alicea, it's interesting because Tom, 2 things come to mind with that. And again, I'm not the program person, but I hear enough of the program that things trigger. So there's qualifying questions, right, that you guys ask before going through. So what are those, Tom?
Are you an alcoholic? Do you want to do something about it? And what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Right. And I love this, what Taryn says here. It's a choice to live. That's the choice I made. I don't want to die. I want to live, but I don't know how. But I can't go on like this or I'll die. And Doc, I love this, and we'll talk about this in a minute, right? There's a whole chapter. So what's the solution to all this?
Yeah, exactly. Doc, you tell us. What is it?
We love that. This is a whole chapter. We'll talk about it, right? Interestingly, let's look at, I want to read you guys something from the big book. And this is, so this question is not a new question today. Okay. So Bill Wilson was asked this by somebody, and this is, let's ask Bill. It says, this is somebody talking to Bill Wilson back in, I guess, the 50s. How do you justify calling alcoholism an illness and not a moral responsibility? Okay, how do you do that? And this says, in early AAs, very natural questions arose among theologians. Return of Religion, I received a calling from me, stated strongly, objected to the AA position that alcoholism was an illness. This concept, he felt, removed moral responsibility from alcoholics. He'd been voicing this complaint about psychiatrists in the American Mercury, and now he stated this about AA, that if you say it's a disease, they're not morally responsible. You give them an excuse. And so here was Bill Wilson's answer. Of course, I made haste to point out that we AAs did not use the concept of sickness to absolve our members from moral responsibility. On the contrary, we used the fact of fatal illness to clamp the heaviest kind of moral responsibility onto the sufferer. The further point was made that in his early days of drinking, the alcohol often was, no doubt, guilty of irresponsibility and gluttony. Right? Mm-hmm. That's interesting. But once the time of compulsive drinking and veritable lunacy had arrived, he couldn't very well be held accountable for his conduct. He then had a lunacy which condemned him to drink in spite of all he could do. He had developed a bodily sensitivity to alcohol that guaranteed his final madness and death. When this state of affairs was pointed out to him, he was placed immediately under the heaviest kind of pressure to accept AA's moral and spiritual program of regeneration, namely our 12 steps. Fortunately, Mr. Link was satisfied with this view in the use of the thinking of alcoholism. I am glad to report that nearly all theologians who have since thought about this matter have also agreed with the early position. So, I mean, some of this does, speak to what Dale's talking about, speak to what the book talks about, that there's a point in your heavy drinking where you may still have had a choice, but only the allergic type will absolutely not end up having no choice. And that's what I'm saying. If you aren't the allergic type, I don't believe you can ever be that. Make yourself that phenomenon craving. But this is saying that those with that, for a period of time, could stop it. Okay. Even Bill says it. So I'll concede to that. Is that half conceding to Dale? But that's a very interesting answer. That's Bill Wilson's answer to the idea of that moral irresponsibility.
Yeah, and even just in researching for you guys for this week, a lot of it said, the substance doesn't take away your ability to understand right from wrong.
All right.
That's still something that you have. You're just choosing to do the wrong thing, whether you're choosing to rob, a store to get money for your drugs, or you're choosing to steal money from your parents' wallet to go get, some alcohol. That's wrong, but you choose to do it because your addiction is that strong and your craving is that strong. So it doesn't take away your ability to understand right from wrong. You just choose to do the wrong thing. I agree with the Yankee fan.
So we have it in writing, and we're going to leave it up for the rest of the show.
Oh gosh.
That Dale agrees with us on it. Finally, it's I've known Dale for 25 years. I'm not sure he's ever said that.
Wow.
At a point, it's not. I like this is what Taryn says. It isn't a matter of right or wrong. At that point, it's not a choice. We could apply that, Lisa, to the person with diabetes, okay, right or wrong, they know, but they just keep doing it. They may know, somebody may have even told them, you're diabetic, you're feeding it. You know that you're not supposed to do this.
Yes.
It's right and wrong. And they keep doing it anyway.
Yep.
Right? So the smoker, the cancer patient, the person with heart disease, you're making a choice, and there's this choice thing, I guess.
But I think the difference is with diabetes, with smoking, with heart disease, a lot of times it doesn't affect anyone but yourself. In theory, I mean, it affects family who have to take care of you. It affects, things of that nature, but you're not necessarily stealing money. You're not necessarily, not being an active member in the community by paying taxes and working and blah, 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 things like that. So that was one of the things, like, again, I told Alicea when I was smoking, like, I couldn't stop for myself. And it was when I found out I was pregnant that I stopped. I stopped for my kid, and they're the reason I continue to stop smoking is because of them, not because of me.
And
so
not
I think
because of
that's
me, guys, who tried very hard.
definitely not.
Not because of Tom.
Lisa would sneak out of her office, and what would I say? Where you going?
You knew where she was going.
Every time.
I would go out the back door to avoid
You
him.
did go out the back door. Where's Lisa? Where'd she go? Because our offices were next to each other, which we wanted, and then I wonder if she wanted.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she's out. Where is she? So let's go back to Dale Barker. I think it's true. Brad, thank you. It's a good 10th step for Dale to have agreed with me. But, in the 10th step, we do make amends. It's one thing to just agree, and that would be kind of an apology. So I do think there's an amends to be made. So we'll have to think, Dale, how you could make amends to me. Maybe
I think he already did.
To a Yankee game, maybe taking me. Let's just get this straight now. I took Dale Barker to a Yankee game by surprise, and he'll admit this. He's going to say, we took him to Yankee Stadium. I will propose that everybody in the world on their bucket list is to go to a game at Yankee Stadium. Is it not on your list, Alicea?
No.
Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. This whole no choice yet. She hasn't realized. Of course it is. It's in her. It's a phenomenon of craving. It's an allergy. Everyone has it. It just hasn't been kicked off yet. But I took Dale to Yankee Stadium as a surprise. I bought tickets to a Yankee game. He flew in to see me, and he didn't know where we were going. And we drove into Yankee Stadium. And I still remember as we walked out and looked at that field, I looked at his face, and he had a big, huge smile on him. And we had a great time that night at that Yankee game. So there you go, Dale. We'll do that again one of these days. So what do we got, Choice? Hey, Lisa, let's do our shirt giveaway. Can we do
We didn't do the hashtag recovered.
We have to do it now.
All right. We'll give people some time.
So you guys, this is Sean's thing. He's laying on a beach somewhere, although if you know Sean Higgins, which I do, he's not laying still anywhere.
He's running around and he's talking to people, and
Libby probably is. His wife is probably laying on the beach. He says, she just wants to lay on the beach. I can't lay on the beach. I'm like, no kidding, dude. Anyway, I should remind you that we are going to have a retreat in Amory again on May 13th. So there's actually 4 retreats in May. We'll go back and talk. We have that May 6th Mother's Day weekend in Loma Mar, California, Redwood, Glen, if you're interested. The next weekend, we're going to be both in Amory, we're actually in Clear Lake, and in Leesburg, the weekend of the 13th through the 15th. So 2 places in May on the 13th to 15th. And then on the 20th through the 22nd, we're going to be in Nevada City. So a lot of opportunities, guys, if you want to. And there is talk, guys. I know some of you are really interested in the virtual retreat. We do have a discussion going on in the background, right, Lisa, about when we're going to do this. We are going to do another virtual retreat. And we're trying to figure out how we can do them on a regular basis for those that it really is the best option for them. How many recoverages do we got now?
We only have 6.
6 so far. So come on, guys. Hashtag recovered. What are we sending today? A shirt, Lisa? We could send a hoodie that maybe that'll get more people to say recovered.
I don't have any hoodies. I have shirts and I have mugs and legacy guides.
All right. We'll do shirt. We'll do a shirt as we keep going. Let's see when you get up a little more. Give them another minute. There we go. We got a few more coming.
Okay.
So how do you pick a winner?
You'll see.
I
Okay.
don't know how to stream it though, like Sean did. I can do it, I think. And
You
it
can
does.
Shuffles them.
Does it do the pick through it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing that he's using. I guess he just shares his screen. Is that all he does?
I think he does. Let's see if we can do it. And then it does the confetti.
See, Sean's gonna love this because you can't do it without him. He's gonna love it.
But in
Okay, I think I got it.
in classic face though, he didn't help us. All right, let's see.
Okay, all right, ready? Here we go.
All right, here we go, guys.
Woo!
Woo! Doc Rock wins again.
Josh Bach.
Bach.
Congratulations. You are the winner.
Send your information through our chat.
Messenger, and I will send you your choice, t-shirt or mug. If you want a t-shirt, let me know your size and we will get that out to you. I will.
So maybe when baseball season, it's going to start in April, we'll do one where we'll either give a Red Sox shirt or a Yankee shirt, and we'll see who has more, and then we'll give that shirt away. The Yankee shirt. We're not a lot. All right. Well, it's great, guys. We're about 6 minutes off. What a great discussion, right? I mean, I don't know that we came to any answer about it, except that we know that addiction ruins people's lives, and we know that there's a way out of it. And regardless of whether you had the choice or something, there's some point you couldn't. There is a way that relieves you of it and all its effects, however you got there, whatever you want to say, and that can give you a life. And we have seen tens of thousands of examples of it going on over 50 years, all the way back to the founders, and more recently with everything we do in Came to Believe Recovery by bringing the founders program to people, that there is a solution. And this 12-step process, as our founders did it, can relieve you from this and launch you into a life of happiness, joy, and freedom. You know, Lisa, I don't think you knew this, but Alicia did. We stopped at city teams. You guys, I think some of you who have been following us know that we did Alicia and I and Sean and Dale and others from California went and put the 12 steps on a rescue mission here in San Jose. And that's part of what I'm here too. We visited yesterday. And they, on the women's side and the men's side, nobody has left the mission since the retreat. And it would be typical that they would have. People would have left because of, they can self-leave if they want to. So, and they thought when we went to lunch, they said that's significant and it mattered, that there has been a change in the attitude of some of them here based on that. So we know it works, guys, even to those at the least, the last and the lost. Today, I'm going to go to the Bay Area mission who now wants us to come there. Big things coming. We got the retreats coming, guys. Stay tuned with us. Lisa, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was good to be back. You know, since Sean forgot I existed last week for Employee Day, you know, had to make sure my existence was known to him and that I'm still here, still around.
When we do finally meet in person one of these days in the near future, you gotta sit you and him right next to each other.
Oh yeah.
Because Sarah on the other side.
Yes.
I can't. And Libby will sit, if she comes, we'll sit over across the table and just watch. She'll love it. You know? And Alicia, thank you for coming on today and being a co-host. Alicia's just turned into just a super advocate of Came to Believe, has been involved at every level with us since she started, which was only last September. Mm-hmm. And, where you're going to see a lot and hear a lot about Alicia. She's a wonderful, gifted teacher. She came and taught steps, and she'll be an asset in helping women and men all over the country and the world as much as she will want to help them free them from this whole terrible cycle. So, guys, we'll see you next week. Next week, who do we have on, Lisa? Next week,
we actually have a special guest. It's Jessica Blanchard. She is, I think Sarah refers to her as the queen of harm reduction. So we are going to be talking about harm reduction, what that means, how Came to Believe feels about that, how it fits or doesn't fit with our model. And she's going to share what she's doing in the area and educate us all a little bit on it.
So that's another great discussion, and we want to have all these holistic discussions. So we're looking forward to her coming on this week. I think Sarah will be on with us too next week. Sean will not. Again, he somehow needs 2 weeks off. So we all need to get the most of our abuse to Sean ready when he comes back. But you watch when it's a special guest, you'll see if Sean finds a way to show up. That would be just like him. Figure a way to show up. The poor boy. He is out of nowhere. I don't see him. He's not texting me or anything. So anyway, all right, guys. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Again, CameToBelieveRecovery.org. Go on. Watch us on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter. We're on YouTube. Reach out to us anytime you can. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to be coming to your area. We're opening retreats and things everywhere. We'd love to teach you how to start a meeting, whatever. There is a solution, guys, and we want you to find it. So have a great weekend, everybody. See you next time.